and hidden riches of secret places, that thou mayest know that I am the Lord.
Last words, brother.
Shalom, shalom, ma.
All right.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. All right. Shabbat shalom, Yasharel.
All right. Shabbat shalom.
And all praises and glory to the great I am, the almighty Yahweh. Y'all know what to do if you can hear us loud and clear. And brother, Eitan, let me know if I'm going in and out, man. I know these towers have been kind of messing up out here.
All right, come on.
Pray that everybody having a blessed Shabbat. You can hear me okay, Op?
I can hear you pretty good, man. Loud and clear.
Okay. All righty. Well, I want to welcome everybody on to the live. Another blessed Shabbat, wherever you are, scattered to this four corners. So some people are already sundown territory. Still about another hour to go here in the West Coast. All right. Give you a few more seconds. People are still coming on. All right, Yashara. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here right here.
All right. So we're going to go ahead to our scripture reading. Exodus. So we'll go ahead and turn to the book of Exodus, chapter 20. We'll start with verse 8. And Aki, you want to take the first one, and we just go back and forth?
Yeah, man, we can go back and forth.
Yep, we'll go back and forth. All right, go ahead, take it away.
It says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work.
But the seventh day is the Sabbath day of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates.
For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the seventh day and hallowed it. And it is a reminder, it is a ceremonial reminder of what we need to do every week. We prepare and we get ready for the Shabbat. And it's nothing like it, Yasharel. This is a day that the Most High has set aside for his people, forever, throughout our generations. And even before we were created, the Shabbat was being kept in the heavens. So that ought to tell you how sacred this Shabbat is. And it's a time where you come together and you put away all your worries, stresses, all stresses from work. All that should be just put to the side for 24 hours. Just you and the Almighty. All right, Yasharel. And again, just if I start to go out, either myself or Brother Eitan, just put a comment in a comment box so we know if we're losing signal or something like that. But if I don't hear anything, I'm going to assume all is well.
That's right, man.
All right. All right, Yasharel. So the title of the lesson is The First and Last Egypt for Israel. And there's a reason why we named it that, and you're going to see why, because we're basically going to just kind of show you and compare, what happened with the first captivity, which, it wasn't that, our people were being wicked or anything like that. We just got the bad end of the stick. And we're going to go there in Exodus here, and we're going to read. It's a little long, but I'm going to read all of that. And Brother Eitan, I'll pause between, man. If you got anything that you want to bring out, while I'm bringing this out, hey, feel free to
take it away.
Jump right in. So we're gonna go to the beginning. We're gonna go to Exodus chapter 1. All right, and give you a few seconds to get there. It's gonna be Exodus chapter 1. This is after when, of course, Joseph's brothers finally, humbled themselves, and Joseph revealed them, and the whole story and everything. So starting with verse 5 in Exodus 1, it says, "And all the souls that came out of the lines of Jacob were 70 souls, for Joseph was in Egypt already." So by then, man, they had already had their own line established and everything. So you're talking about, man, and you're talking about loads and loads, pretty much all of the 12 tribes of Israel and their children, coming to Egypt. All right. But let's go on further. It says, and Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. So you got to imagine, like, they lived a little longer too back then. So, you're talking about a good couple of 100 years, before Joseph and all the generation, his brothers die off and everything, their children. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceedingly mighty. And the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. Right? And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. All right. And you got this new king, he's intimidated because he's seeing how fruitful Israel is and how they're being blessed. And it says, therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Python and Ramses. And, which is this is kind of in a messed up situation because it's like, the first king, they had, he had a pact with Joseph because of the dreams and everything. And, the whole 7 years of famine and how Joseph was able to manage skillfully and save Egypt during the 7 years, of famine. So they took the 7 years of plenty and then used it for the 7 years of famines. And that's how Egypt survived. All right, brother, you got anything before we go on?
Nah, man, go ahead, man. Bring it out, brother.
All right. It says, but the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. So it's kind of like, the more they put bondage on them, the more these boys they grew, the families grew and everything. It's just like when during slavery in America, it was like seems like our people had more children back then, But, again, going back to this first captivity, it wasn't like our people were thrust into captivity. We just got the bad end of the deal because of a jealous king. So when it goes on to say, and I'll read that part again. It says, therefore they did, verse 12, but the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with vigor. So you got to understand what that means. What rigor? I mean, that's like some of the hardest bondage you can do. And they probably was getting their backs beat in on all manners of stuff, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field. So imagine you out in the sun all day long, probably working 12 to 14 hours a day, building all this stuff. And all their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. All right. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Sapphira, and the name of the other Paul. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then shall she live. Y'all know why they wanted to kill the male firstborns. It says, but the midwives feared God and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but served the men, children alive. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said unto them, why have ye done this thing? And ye have saved the men, children alive. And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. All right. That's because the Most High was blessing our people. And that promise that he made to Abraham, he said that he would multiply our seed like the stars of heaven. And that was part of the promise. Unfortunately, that was part of the deal that it was going to be done and part of that captivity. All right. And it says, therefore, God dwelt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mighty. Man, I can't see this. This thing is in the way. Give me a second. All right. We'll start right there. You got anything you want to add? Yo,
I'm here, brother. How are you?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right, man.
My fault. My fault.
All right. So, so this was this the first one. When our people was in it, and they just got in the bad, and it's crazy, y'all. So let's go to Deuteronomy.
There we go. It fell off for a second. My bad.
Yeah, man. Well, I figured you must have been tired today, boy.
Oh man, cracking that whip.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28.
Bring it out, man.
68. All right. Now, I don't know why this thing keeps showing up in the middle. I can't even see the screen because the thing won't.
What, on the app?
Hey, yeah, this little. Hey, pull it. Can you do me a favor? Pull it up on your. Just pull up
Okay.
Deuteronomy 28. See if it comes up.
All right.
Yeah. Because when I scroll to the bottom and everything, it won't let me. Yep, Deuteronomy 28, 68. All right. So, know, we went into the wilderness. All right. When we came out of Egypt, what was the first thing? What was the first thing that our people had to do? They had to relearn the laws when we came out of Egypt the first time. All right. It wasn't pretty because a lot of our people, harsh punishment, getting stoned, all that stuff, and that made it bad on a lot of our people because our people had to be broken hard. Now that's a harsh thing. I mean, because when you come out of bondage like that and you've been in Egypt for so many years and you've taken on the customs of the Egyptians, and mind you, Egyptians, man, they were practicing everything. They were practicing sexuality with both men and women, children. They were incest. Incest is one of the biggest things in the practice with the Egyptians. Incest. All right. And so that's why when our people went out into the wilderness, they had to relearn. That's why all these laws that was like you had your marriage laws, moral laws, you had your judgment laws, and sacrificial laws, which, Hamashiach fulfilled that. And then the judgment laws, because we don't have the Levites. So we can't just go out and stone somebody, because of wickedness. We can't. The Most High says vengeance is mine. All right. So we have all this stuff, all these laws that they had to abide by. And that was because of all the practices that our people got caught up in the first Egypt. Now, if you look at verse 68, and we're in Deuteronomy 28, and it says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt not see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold upon unto your enemies for bondmen and for bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. All right. Now, what does it mean when it says in Egypt again? Of course, we're not talking about the physical Egypt. We're not talking about the Egypt that the Most High brought them out of, that was in what is called Africa. It's talking about a future worldwide Egypt that our people would be scattered to the four corners. Now, this would come, well after King David, of course. And this would come, be part of the Babylonian captivity as well as all the captivities that's before it. Now we are scattered. And the only difference between this captivity and the captivity of Egypt is that they were together. All right. Let's share something with you right quick. So I'm going to go to Deuteronomy. Let's go to Deuteronomy 4:27. All right. Take this off. You live, brother?
I'm here, brother. I'm here, brother.
All right.
All right.
Let's look at Deuteronomy 4:27. So what it says?
All right.
It says, "And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and
All
ye
right.
shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Lord shall lead you." All right. So the big difference is that now we're a scattered people. Same. It's going to be the same process, Joshua. It's going to be the same process. First, Egypt, we were all together. Most High brought down the plagues. We were protected in the land of Goshen. But this time, if you notice that the Most High has us scattered as a people, He has us scattered all over the earth. And there ye shall serve gods and the works of men's hand, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. All right. All right, you got anything you want to add before I go on?
Nah, man. That's but I'm here though, you know.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right. Let's go over here real quick. Can y'all imagine, man, like how our people were scattered to the four corners? Now, mind you, now this time we were thrust into captivity. We wasn't just. It wasn't like the first time where they decided to put us in captivity. The Most High put us in captivity because of our wickedness. Because we were going through, and we turned our backs on the Most High. But now this captivity that we're currently in is the same type captivity that we were in Egypt. But now it's not as intense because, of course, we don't have the chains. We don't have the chains on us. We don't have the shackles on our feet. But we still don't get it twisted. We are still in a state of captivity because, we're in the land of our captives. One, we have our names are still names of our captives. All right, and we still carry the burdens of our forefathers, even though we still have the freedom to go about. We have the freedom to buy a house, buy land, do all this other stuff and everything. But the Most High's promise said He was going to deliver us from the four corners of the earth. And that's going to be a wrap, y'all. When that happens,
just a blessing. It's just a blessing to be born in this generation. You know what I mean? And you didn't really have to go through those things that your forefathers and ancestors did. I mean, that must have been.
See, and he say that, man, and I'm telling you, okay, I'm gonna paint a picture. I'm gonna paint a picture right quick. Let me see if I can bring up some pictures right quick. I'm just gonna show y'all something right quick. Let me see. Slavery in America. Because y'all know me, I like to paint, pictures and everything, and just let y'all see it for yourselves. But I want to paint you a vivid picture. It's gonna make you a little angry. All right, let me share. Dang, what's going on? All right. Let me share my screen right quick. All right, can you see that? Can you see the pictures on there?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're not too far from history. What last slavery? What they so-called claim that slavery ended? What back in 1860, something like that. They claim Abraham Lincoln freed the slave, but he didn't. Pretty much freed the Union, and created the 13th Amendment, which was a false pretell to keep slavery going, which is the prison systems, which are the prison systems of the day. But the picture I want to paint before you right now, just imagine, all right, just imagine if you was living back in the early 1800s, late 1700s in America as a slave, all right? Just imagine. Now, I want y'all to think about this. And And Brother Aton was like, man, don't bring that up, man. But I was like, they got to see the big picture. All right. So just try to follow along here. Just imagine that you being a slave and the risk of you even getting a wife, knowing that your wife was going to end up being molested or raped by a slave master or a taskmaster. I want y'all to think about that. Like how they had to live. And our people, they were born into that. Like imagine being born as a slave. You come out your mother's womb, a slave. Like you groomed to be a slave all your life. And that's all you know. See, it's easy for us to say, like, well, if it was me back then, I'd do this, I'd do that. But see, it wasn't us, Yashara. It wasn't us. It wasn't you. It wasn't me. It wasn't Brother Aton. We're in this generation. Our forefathers back in that generation that had to go through and deal with the things that they had to deal with. And I can see why there would be a lot of uprisings. I can see why that people would rise up against the slave master, and rightly so. Even though the Most High allowed us to go into captivity, but it was only supposed to be for a time, just a little while. Let me reshare my scriptures right quick.
Oh man, bring it up, man. I don't know.
Let's go to go ahead. I'm gonna bring up another scripture right quick. Zechariah. Let's go to Zechariah.
Some of the other countries, man, they still got our people as slaves.
Yep. All right. So let's look at this one right quick. It says, and I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. All right. So, the Most High definitely meant to bring us into slavery, because he said he would. He said in Deuteronomy that he would bring a nation that fly like an eagle, swift, and he would bring us into a nation that none of our forefathers knew, a tongue that none of our forefathers knew. And this is why people who say that America is the Holy Land, that's a lie, because why would this be a Holy Land? Our forefathers never knew this place. So we got to understand why we're in this captivity. We can't be out there like a lot of these camps. They be out there and screaming at the white folks, man, we're gonna bust your kids upside the head and all this kind of stuff. That's cool and all, and it may be true, but you got to realize, this is they're gonna look at you like you crazy. They're not gonna care, because it's not gonna mean anything to them. That's why people don't take us serious. Our thing is that we got to keep the commandments. We have to in this time and age, even in this captivity, Yashua, we got to keep the commandments. We definitely got to keep the Shabbat. The new moon. We got to obey. We got to obey the law. All right. And even though these heathens have their laws, and unfortunately it sucks, but you got to go through that. You got to go through that red tape, just like everybody else. The first and last Egypt for Israel. Now, this will be the last captivity. There's not going to be any more captivities after this. All right. None. And this is why you're starting to see a lot of stuff that's happening. What does it say in Isaiah? I forgot which verse it was, but it talked about the sun, the moon becoming like as the sun, and the sun becoming like 7 times brighter. And every year is always something happening. There's record-breaking floods, there's record-breaking fires, record-breaking tornadoes, hurricanes, and every year it's going to get worse and worse. Record-breaking heat. It's just going to get worse and worse. All right. Now, for those, in the first Egypt, everybody who was alive, guess what? They went into the wilderness. And even the strangers, even their wives that they married, the Egyptians and everything, they went out into the wilderness with them. It's going to be the same way. Hey, look, it's going to be the same way
We're going back
when
into captivity.
when the second Exodus happens. We're not going on this. This is it. Our captivity is this captivity has destroyed our people. And
We're going back into captivity.
Yeah, well, we're in that now.
It was they still in the military.
What's that?
They still in the military to lock up all Negroes.
Yeah.
Going back into captivity. Back on the cotton farms.
Yep. Yeah, they can try that, boy. Many people gonna die, boy. For that. Hey, look, they can come. Hey, look, they can come to this property if they want to.
Man, we're grossly outnumbered.
Hey, Daniel Ben Huda, we got to put you back in captivity, man. All right, we're gonna see.
Man, we are grossly outnumbered.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna show him what a true Texan is like, man. I'm gonna show you. we carry our weapons. We carry our weapons all the time.
God, this is funny.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, man.
But let's go to. Let's go to Ezekiel right quick, because we're gonna relearn. We're gonna have to relearn the law, just like when Israel went out to the first time, and they had to learn the law, even though they knew what tribe they were. They knew all that, but they have forgotten a lot, because, man, when you're in the captivity and when you get accustomed, you lose it, and I can see why it's so hard for our people to really keep these commandments, because in the land of our captivities, the only way that we're going to be free from these peoples, we're going to have to be taken away. I mean, there's just no other way. If the second Exodus don't happen in our time, and if we go to the grave, we got to do the best we can, with these laws, commandments, and statutes. All right, but for everything else, let's go to Deuteronomy. Let's go to Exodus, Ezekiel chapter 20. You good up?
Yeah, I'm good, man.
Okay.
All right. I hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
Do I not sound good or something? What's going on?
You've been quiet lately, man.
Oh, yeah, my fault.
Yeah, you've been quiet.
I'm let you bring it out, man. Let's go.
Alrighty. All right, let's go ahead and go to Ezekiel, y'all. And give y'all a few seconds. Give y'all a few seconds to get there. All right. Start with verse 34. It says, "And I will bring you out from the people, and will gather you out from the countries wherein ye are scattered, with a mighty hand, and with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out." Now, I love going over this. And I know y'all probably heard us read this 100 times. Now, this will be the second Exodus, but let's just slow down for a minute. Let's just back up. All right. What happened in the first Exodus, before the first Exodus? All right. The Most High brought those 10 plagues, right? The Most High brought those 10 plagues. Our people were protected in the land of Goshen. This is going to be interesting, because now that we're scattered to the four corners, how does the Most High know who to gather? I'm telling y'all, man, the Most High has angels already embedded in the four corners, and He already knows who needs to be gathered. Many of our people. So anybody who's alive, let's just say this happens in our time. All right, we're not prophets. We're not making any dates or anything like that when this is going to happen, because we don't know when this is going to happen. This can be years from now. We don't know. But let's just say this happens in our lifetime. Everybody who's alive, Yasharel, the descendants of Hebrews, are going into the wilderness, whether we like it or not. We are going into the wilderness, y'all. And when this happens, we better pray that we're in the mercies of the Most High. All right. You got anything before we go on?
I mean, that's just gonna be a real culture shock.
I know.
It'll be a real culture shock.
Culture shock. Hey, culture shock is an understatement, man. So when you talking about culture shock, our people. Okay, we live in America. America is a place of so-called opportunities, right? You can be who you want to be in America. Everybody gets rights. You can be gay in America. You can be whatever. You can be independent. You can be all that stuff. And it's going to be a culture shock because all this stuff that we're used to in America is going to just cease. It's going to cease. That's why when it says, and brothers, you're going to read it like this because, everybody's going to be in line, especially women. Everybody's going to snap in line like you ain't going to believe. Like this, I mean, man, this whole chapter, these verses right here, man, this is, I mean, this sums it up pretty much. So let me read that again. And it says, and I will bring you out from the people and will gather you out from the countries wherein ye are scattered with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out. All right. So we know this has not happened yet. Anybody who says that this has happened, then you need to show me because, this right here, this is something that everybody's going to see. It says, we're talking live time. We're scattered to the four corners. And he's saying that with a mighty hand, with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out. Now, this stuff that we're seeing, like all these floods and pestilence, that ain't nothing. That's just that's just the, Most High just getting it warmed up. All right. When the Most High brings judgment with his own hands, you're gonna know it. Everybody's gonna know it. It ain't gonna be no guesswork or, second guessing or anything like that. And it goes on to say, and I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face. All right, the first Egypt. What did he do? So it was led by Moshe, and he had to delegate all that authority because one man can't just lead a nation out of Israel. And we're talking about probably over 2 million people. All right. And that's probably not, well, that's what women and children, you're probably talking about more, coming out of the first Exodus, the first Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And man, can you imagine being Moshe, and you dealing with, man, I can see why, man, the Most High chose Moses because he was the meekest person on the earth. Like you have to be 100% humble to have that kind of position because and you know how us, and I'll go ahead and say it, sometimes niggas, man, you know how niggas can try you, boy.
I don't know. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
But you see, man, I don't know. Oh, it's going to be like a culling, I guess. I guess you could say like that. You know what I mean? Because it talks about how there's also going to be people that's just going to still be bucking the system, the rebels. Just like it was the first time.
They're gonna try, but this time, with Hamashiach on the helm, man, and the 12 disciples, man. I mean, I'm telling you, man, 144,000. It ain't gonna be. It's gonna be swift. It's gonna be swift. And it says, and I will bring you to the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt. So here's the comparison right here. Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, saith the Lord. And this is why, this is why we wanted to do this lesson. It's not going to be a long lesson. We was going to keep this lesson really short because we just wanted to kind of just bring out and just compare the first and last Egypt. All right. And you can see that there's a lot of similarities in this. All right. First Egypt, the 10 plagues. I like to reiterate a lot too when I'm reading scriptures. The 10 plagues, brought them out into the wilderness. They had to relearn the law. Harsh treatment. That harsh punishment was the pleading part. All right, so you could say that was pretty much the purging of the rebels, because before they ended up in the promised land, they lost a lot of generations of people. A lot of people got killed in the span of 40 years. A lot of people got destroyed.
Yeah, the whole first generation, they
Yeah.
got wiped out totally.
Yeah, they basically had children,
including Moses, including Aaron. All of them got killed.
Moses, yeah, he ended up dying though, because he couldn't go into the promised land. Aaron ended up dying. But the person who it was Joshua, and basically damn nearly children, that went into the promised land.
Oh man, even playing. What was it, 19 and under?
Yeah. So it says, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, saith the Lord God. And I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. So that is going to be the rejoining of the covenant, because remember, the Most High never broke his covenant with Israel. And what is
don't pass over the pass you under the rod part. That's a beating. Every time you read it there in the scriptures, and you see about passing under some kind of rod, hey man, that's like a rod of correction.
Yep. And what this is where the purge. And this next verse comes in. It says, "And I will purge out from among you the rebels, and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel. And ye shall know that I am the Lord." This is no joke, y'all. And this, you got anything you bring out? Because I'm gonna go to Hebrews right quick.
I mean, judge for transgression, man. Hopefully, folks don't get stoned to death. That's the old style.
I look at it like this, man. If we make it into the wilderness in our generation, and if we see it in our generation, look, brother, I don't want to be one of them wicked brothers, man, on the other side.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be that, man.
Oh man, get stoned to death, man. That's a horrible death.
Yeah, I mean, you got bricks hitting you and everything, and hitting you upside the head. Man, that's crazy.
Man, you just walking on the street and then you just, I mean, like, what's going on? They just look around and then the Lord just provides boulders. All of a sudden, they start popping up on the ground. Stone him. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. Oh man.
No, bro, you don't want to be in that situation.
Oh man,
don't want to be in that heat. All right, so let's see here. This is the one I'm looking for right here. Like that.
Man, man, the Lord got some torturous ways to kill you. Told him.
That's don't. Hey man, that's hard, right? That's hard. Right? Yeah. See, that would make you want to like, dang man. How you want to think about doing something, man, that's against the Most High? All right, it says this is Hebrews 8:7 says, "For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. For finding fault with them, he saith, Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah." Now, every time you see the house of Israel and the house of Judah, it's talking about the northern and southern tribes. All right, Israel being the northern tribe and Judah being the southern tribe. It says, "Not according to the covenant I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt." Remember, the first and last Egypt, that's what we're talking about here. "Because they continue not in my covenant." Because remember, only a few entered into the promised land. It says, and I regarded them not, saith the Lord. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws into their mind and write them into their hearts, and I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. All
Yeah,
right.
that's the part we
This
gotta
is
get to right there, man. That's the part we don't
this
gotta
is
worry about
yeah,
retribution anymore.
this is going to be the second Egypt. So while we're in captivity, this is why you kind of like sensing awakening, or people are kind of like coming up, but the ones who are really sincere, they're acting on it. They're not just waking up, but they are keeping the Shabbat. They're obeying the dietary laws. You know, they're loving their brothers. You know, they're doing everything that the Scripture tells them to do, and that's the part right there we got to get to. Right? That is the part, because Yahshua, we don't know how long, we don't know when our time clock's going to end. All right, just like our second Exodus. You know, a lot of people like to set dates. You know, I've seen brothers talk about that 29, what is it, something 20 16 something 16 19 2019. It's just, you know, you can't follow, man. You can't go off that stuff. You got to study the scriptures. But those people who claim that prophecy, they claim to study the scriptures, but yet they got it wrong. You know, um, Israel, we may be, it may be another 1,000 years. Who knows? Some people may say, well, that's impossible, with the food and everything being contaminated. And, the earth has a way of cleansing itself. It's been doing it for so many years. So, but the thing we got to do is make haste and keep the laws. That's it right there for us. Love our brothers. You married, love your wives as yourselves. Train your children in the way that they should go. And that's what you got to do, so they can pass down the torch. Because they know who we are, Yasharel, and it's getting ready to heat up. Um, I told you before, and me and Brother Eitan talked about it. They are targeting Yasharel because they know that we're in the land of our captivities. They know they hold all the jobs, and here we are. We gotta beg the work for them. This is why it's expedient that whatever you're doing, you work. Find a way to work for yourself, get a trade or something, so that you can support yourself. Because I'm telling you, a lot of our people are losing jobs left and right, and it just goes to show you that the curse is because we are the tail, not the head. And we are in their so-called captivity. Even though, like I said earlier, they don't have no chains around our necks and shackles on our feet, but they control all the stock. They control everything. They own all the stuff that we got to go get supplies for. So just keep that in mind, in the back of your mind, knowing that. Because the only way, Yasharel, out of this place is to keep the laws of the Most High. Be productive. If you have property, grow your own stuff. If you got, your own resources, cool. And it's something that you can work towards. But outside of that, it's gonna get ugly. And unfortunately, for our people, it's just going to get worse before it gets better. Because our people, like the scripture says, are a stiff-necked people. So I talked enough, Yasharel. Like I said, this lesson, we knew it was going to be a short lesson, but just wanted to kind of give you something to meditate on. Brother, you got anything before we close
No,
out?
brother. No, just we just got to remember now. It's not going to be a pretty sight when when Hamashiach sits back on the scene. The
Sure, this
second
is really,
Exodus.
yeah,
That
man,
says the Most High, He's going to give us a chance. At first, to try to get it right. But then, just like usual, you gonna have people that try to buck the system.
look, man, it's not a pretty sight now. Our people
Yeah.
are buck. Our people are buck wild, man. And I hate to say this, Yasharel, but like it used to be a time where when I was growing up, when our people could meet together, you wouldn't see no homosexuality, no Black Lives Matter. But now, anytime you have a so-called black event that a bunch of black folks that get together, you're gonna see a bunch of gays, lesbians, Black Lives Matter, Democrat thinking kind of syndrome, all kinds of stuff. I hate that stuff. This is why when you go to places like Atlanta, anywhere where there's a concentration of our people at, you see a lot of that, and I hate that. But we wasn't always like that. When I was growing up, there was no way, like, you didn't know, man. If somebody was gay in the black community, you kept that stuff quiet. That was, now it was common. A lot of white folks were gay because that's what we grew up. And they were all open with it. But we just didn't associate ourselves with that. And I remember, I ain't gonna lie, the first gay black dude I saw was it wasn't until I got to high school. That stuff was crazy, man. I didn't think that exists, but Yashrael, we really got to get on the bandwagon of the Almighty, and we're gonna have to, like I always like to say, we got to work out our salvation with fear and trembling, like the scripture says,
Mm-hmm.
and that includes all of us, because we are all going to be judged. Our thoughts, everything that we think. If you're sitting out there hating your brother, you jealousy of your brother, whatever, envying your brother, all that's going to be taken into account. And that's the worst part, because what we think we can get away with is because we put up a front in front of somebody else. The Most High sees all. Let me get one more scripture, man, and then I'm gonna put it to rest here.
Oh.
Unless you got something. Let me bring out. I want to bring out Ecclesiasticus right quick. I'm gonna have to pull up the secret for that one. Because this is a powerful, man. This is a powerful verse. Ecclesiasticus 23. I think it's 23, 21.
Mm-hmm.
23, 21. Okay, let me see. All right, yeah, here it is. Such as man fears that. Yep, that's it. Let me bring it up on the screen. I got to share the screen again. Yep. Sorry, y'all, but this thing doesn't allow me to share multiple screens, which is kind of dumb. But all right, I'm gonna close out with this verse right here. Ecclesiasticus chapter 20, 23 and 19. It says, "Such a man only fears the eyes of men, and knows not that the eyes of Yahweh are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men, and considering the most secret parts." Man, let me read that again. It says, "Such a man only fears the eyes of men, and knows not that the eyes of Yahweh are 10,000 times brighter than the sun." Y'all hear that? So there's nothing that we can hide, not even in our thoughts. It says, beholding all the ways of men, and considering the most secret parts. Y'all know what that means? That just means your most inner parts of your thoughts. There's nothing that you can hide from the Most High. You can't lie to the Most High. You can't do none of that. It says he knew all things ever they were created. So also after they were perfected, he looked upon them all. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's right. I mean, it's just so powerful. So, got to make haste. Got to make haste to keep the laws, Yashua. So, with that being said, I pray that you all are edified, that you got something. Those of you came on kind of a little late, that's all right. The video will repost back onto the channel. And before I go, Brother Eitan, got anything?
Man, by the grace of the Most High, man, we're all here again.
Mm-hmm.
Hope everybody have a blessed Shabbat.
That's right.
A peaceful rest for this day. Right, and don't let them work you so hard this week.
I know my brother Eitan's gonna rest like a champ tonight.
Oh, you already know it. I'm done, man. I'm cooked.
All right, Yasharel. With that being said, we're gonna bid you a Shabbat We're going to bid you a hearty Shabbat Shalom.
And stay strong, Israel. Stay strong.
Sir.